All right, let's dive into something that has, time and time again, completely reshaped entire societies: Christian revivals. Now, these aren't just footnotes in a history book. We're talking about powerful engines of change, and we're about to see exactly how they work. I mean, to put it in a way we'd all get today, what really happens when religious fervor goes viral? When a spiritual spark just catches fire and spreads like crazy through a community, or a whole country, or even across continents, the effects are way more profound than you might think. So what are we actually talking about when we say revival? It's really important to get this straight. This is way more than just a popular Sunday service. A revival is a rapid, widespread explosion of religious feeling that doesn't just change the church, it often changes the entire social fabric of a place. And here's the thing, this isn't some new phenomenon. Not at all. When you look back through history, you start to see this really clear pattern emerge. These spiritual awakenings just erupt again and again in different places and at different times, and every single one leaves its own unique mark on the world. You can literally track these waves of energy through the centuries. You see it with the First Great Awakening, which really helped shape an early American identity. You see it in a little revival over in Wales that had these massive social consequences. And you absolutely see it in a small gathering in Los Angeles that would go on to change the entire face of Christianity around the globe. So try to picture this for a second. What did these things actually feel like? Well, they weren't quiet, buttoned-up affairs. The Second Great Awakening, for instance, was all about these huge emotional camp meetings out on the American frontier. For the people there, it was a really personal, really intense experience. But here's where it gets really interesting. That incredible religious energy, it never just stays inside a church. It consistently spills out and acts like this powerful engine for massive change across society. So the real question is, how? How does that actually happen? Well, time and again, we see the impact ripple out in three main ways. First, you get these immediate shifts in society and culture. Second, that energy gets channeled into huge political and social reform movements. And third, it leads to brand new institutions and just incredible global growth. If you want a perfect snapshot of those short-term effects, you've got to look at the Welsh revival of 1904. Reports from that time describe these startling changes that happened almost overnight. Pubs were apparently empty, court cases were being dropped because crime rates just plummeted, and people started helping each other out more. It was a visible, tangible shift in how people behaved. You see, this kind of energy creates a powerful call to action. Because if the core idea is about transforming your own life, it's a very short leap to wanting to transform the society you live in. That's exactly why the passion of the Second Great Awakening was funneled directly into some of America's biggest reform movements: the fight against slavery, the temperance movement, and even the early foundations for women's rights. Okay, so let's connect this whole historical pattern right to our world today. Because the legacy of what happened in the 20th century, well, it's honestly one of the most significant and frankly overlooked religious stories of our time. Without a doubt, the single biggest thing to come out of the revivals of the early 1900s was the birth of Pentecostalism. And its growth wasn't just big, it was explosive. Today, the vast majority of Pentecostals are in the global south. We're talking Africa, Latin America, and Asia. It has completely redrawn the demographic map of Christianity. So how on earth did a global movement like this even happen? It all started with a tiny spark, a humble, multiracial prayer meeting on Azusa Street in Los Angeles. From that one spot, the message was carried around the world by missionaries and through publications. And that led to this massive ignition, an explosive growth of local, homegrown Pentecostal movements that turned it into the fastest growing form of Christianity on the planet. So, when you put it all together, you realize these Christian revivals are so much more than just interesting historical events. They are a recurring force that shows us in incredible detail how deeply held beliefs can translate into dramatic, world-altering action. They show us how faith can become a genuine engine for transforming both people and societies. And that, of course, leaves us with one final big question. If these revivals are a recurring engine of history, a force that keeps reshaping the world, it really makes you wonder, where might the next spiritual spark ignite? And maybe more importantly, what kind of world will it build?